How ready are BYU football players to kick off Big 12 play? Well, they answer that question and a whole lot more. BYU's 3-0, nationally ranked, and now getting ready for the Colorado Buffaloes, and the Cougars sound like they're ready to do battle with the Buffs.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, your host here, and of course, the executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah. I am a 14-year credentialed media member at BYU, and as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. All right, another special edition here with the BYU player audio and video from today's press conference. We're going to start off with a guy who I think has absolutely revolutionized BYU's offense, and that is standout tight end Carson Ryan. According to PFF, he is one of the top-rated tight ends in the Western United States. He is a guy that I have made the statement multiple times has made BYU tight ends great again, and I've been really impressed with his overall demeanor, his play, and just his overall impact on the BYU football program. Will he address that? He also addressed having played at Folsom Field for BYU against the Colorado Buffaloes and a whole lot more. Here is his press audio and video from BYU's press conference earlier today.
So far this season, Carson, you've had a chance to really kind of show what you're capable of at the tight end position. It seems like you've really kind of found a niche within this offense. What is about this offense has kind of brought out your strengths as a tight end and allowed you to kind of maybe take that step forward that you wanted to take forward this season?
Well, something they've really allowed me to do here in this offense is just be on the field all the time, being every down tight end. It's been my goal, just being able to be a physical blocker and also get out, make some plays in the pass game like I've been doing, and just being able to show my athleticism, being able to get open against linebackers and safeties, and show that I'm a viable threat down the field to catch the ball and make plays with the ball in my hand. And so it's something I want to continue doing too.
All right, next question from Sean Walker.
Hey, Carson, I wanted to ask you a similar question about kind of your start to the season on the football field, but I need to start really quick. You've got an incredible mustache, and I need some tips. Can you give me just like a peek into your mustache care? Like, how do you take care of it? Do you condition it every day? Like, what kind of goes into the process of keeping that up?
I mean, I don't do much to it. It's not that big of a secret. I use conditioner when I shower sometimes, but I mean, I don't use beard oil, or I trim it every couple weeks, make sure it doesn't get too long. But yeah, I mean, there's no secret to it. I've just been blessed and to have a lucky, nice mustache. So
I'm impressed that you keep that thing as clean as you do without any beard oil. Seriously, as a member of the facial hair mafia myself, I'm seriously impressed by it. Your connection with Bear has been really good this year, especially for a quarterback who's only been on campus for a couple of months, first time starter, all of that stuff. Just how did you kind of develop as much chemistry and synchronicity, I think, with him so quickly?
I mean, it's one thing I really focused on since Bear came here and just all through fall camp and through the season so far, just be consistent, just consistently get up when I can, doing my job, and just letting them know that I'm there. But the ball might not always come to me, or the defense might not always, make me a viable option in the play, but just consistently be there and doing my job so that Bear knows that if he needs me, I'm going to be there. And so just stuff like that, to not have Bear worry about, where I'm going to be on each play, just be a reliable piece for him on the offense so he doesn't have to think as much.
Next question from Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Carson, I don't know how much you pay attention to Pro Football Focus and their grades, but they got you as one of the top-rated tight ends in the Western United States. Does that validate what you've done so far this season, in your opinion?
I mean, to me, I don't like to look at the outside stuff and the rankings. I worry about my game and what I do, and just focus on things that I can get better on. No, it's nice to see all the accolades and people ranking stuff online and the PFF grades. It's great to see that, but I mean, that doesn't matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it matters is if I can play good football and if we can win games.
I also wanted to ask you, we saw you on a couple of play actions, some innovative play calling like from Aaron Roderick. Can you just speak to how he's utilizing you in the passing game in particular?
I think A-Rod's got a great offense here. He does a great job of utilizing the weapons that he has for an offense. It changes year to year. with whatever team you're on, you're gonna have different guys, and A-Rod does a really good job of taking advantage of everyone's skill sets and who does best at what. And so, like you said, a lot of the play action passes that we do, and things that help Bear make easier reads and kind of limit his thinking on the offense, just let him throw the ball out there and show his athleticism, just stuff like that, and it helps us out a lot.
Next question from Brandon Gurney.
Yeah, Carson, a hallmark of the offense, at least through the first 3 games, it seems like you guys get off to rough starts, but specifically Bear, but you guys improve quite a bit over the course of the game. What are the reasons for that specifically, maybe with Bear, maybe with the offensive play calling that you've seen?
I feel like it just is us getting into a groove. We've got a lot of new guys on this offense, and we got a new leader at quarterback, so it just kind of just the slow starts aren't great for us to see. We want to come out rolling, just firing from the beginning, but we had a couple opportunities in the first half, just barely coming short, and like a couple deep throws that we just missed, or where Lake Parker's just out of bounds, just stuff like that. Like we see, and we see that it's there, and that it's going to be hopefully going to be working as we get further into the season. Just Bear just continue to get his confidence. One thing I really noticed is like as soon as he started making some of those throws and kind of get into a groove of things and become more confident himself, he started playing great, especially in that second half, like end of the first going into the second half. He was making great throws and making the right reads and making decisions the whole game. And so as we continue to do that and he continues to just grow in confidence, I think he's going to be a great quarterback for us.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Yeah, Carson, you've been at 3 different programs. How would the tight ends room at BYU compare to what it was at UCLA and Utah? And then just give us a scouting report on Kean and Noah and Ethan Erickson and kind of how they add to the depth of the tight end room.
I think we got a lot of good players in this tight end room. I've been around a lot of good tight ends in college. A lot of guys who are in the NFL right now are guys who will be in the NFL, in my opinion. So I've had a lot of opportunities to learn from a lot of great players and great coaches, and I think we got a lot of that here at BYU. We got a great coach, and we got great players like Keane. He's a really big dude, good blocker for us. I think he's going to continue to get better as the year goes on. And Noah, he's a good athlete, blocks in space really well. He can be a solid blocker in the inlet for us. So I think the more as we get more guys in the offense and more guys more into that 12 and 13 personnel, hopefully we can see more of that coming up soon. Get more guys in like Ethan and Noah and Kean, just get more tight ends on the field. That's what I love to see. So,
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Carson, you experienced the Big 12 last year at Utah. What were some things you learned about this conference that may be different than the Pac-12 and what it takes to compete in this league?
No, I think Big 12 is really competitive. Comparing to the Pac-12, I mean, it's you're playing high-level football. Everyone's going to be good players, and you got big guys on every team. A lot of physicality in this conference too, which is always fun to play against. And I think there's going to be a lot of fight for those 2 spots in the Big 12 championship. We got a lot of good teams, and we got a tough schedule ahead of us, so we just got to be ready to be physical and go out, and we got to start fast, like I said earlier, and go out and just be ready to hit people. So I think that's going to be the big thing for us going into the rest of these games, because we got a lot of defensive heavy teams coming up, in my opinion, and so we just got to be ready to go against those.
Our last question will be from Kyle Ireland.
Carson, you had 4 catches for 78 yards last year at Colorado. What do you remember about playing at Folsom Field and what that experience was like?
Well, I played there a couple times in my college career, and last year and the first year I was there, it's always a loud crowd there. They get a lot of fans out there, and it's a fun stadium to go to. I think it's really cool area. I like their stadium a lot, and so I always have fun playing there, and so I'm excited to get out there again and hopefully put up another similar game like I did last year. And I think they're going to be a good, solid team, and Coach Brigham always has good players coming in every year, so we're going to be ready for them and for what they got for us.
I love the fact that Carson feels like he's finally able to flourish in BYU's system, because it's only going to engender confidence that BYU can get tight ends to be an integral part of this offense. It's not that long ago, and a bunch of you were crowing at me, hey, when's BYU going to have a tight end that can catch a pass? Well, Carson Ryan's proven that very thing, and it's good to hear him doing his thing. But more importantly than that, you heard him talk about the respect factor he has for going to Folsom. The fans, speaking of Colorado fans at Folsom Field, should be a fun environment. I'm looking forward to being out there myself and experiencing it for the very first time in person. Now, we also had a chance to catch up with Tanner Wall. I think he has been an absolute revelation. I don't need to say much more if you're an everydayer of this podcast about how much I respect his play on the field. He doesn't talk a lot. He lets his play do most of the talking for him, but this is a kid, speaking of Tanner, who has made an incredible leap. Remember, he was a walk-on to the BYU football program, played wide receiver for a spell, and then really felt like that he was not going to see the field at that position. Well, then BYU safeties coach Ed Lamb moved him over to safety, and all he's done is become what I consider to be a fringe all Big 12 type player and an absolute stalwart and bedrock player for this BYU defense, especially in that secondary, especially with the single high safety look they play with most of the time. Well, Tanner Wall had a lot of good thoughts on what BYU needs to clean up from East Carolina as they get ready for Big 12 play. Here's what he had to say.
Just wanted to ask you, the interception that got negated, what was the chatter with Logan like on the sideline?
I didn't get to chat with him too much. He's actually walking in right here, so I should give him a hard time. You can't see him. But no, we sat next to each other on the plane. I was just kind of giving him a hard time. But yeah, no hard feelings whatsoever. Kind of a little mix up there, but it's all right. We ended up getting an interception on that drive anyway, so more to Evan Johnson for a little 2 picks on the game.
Now, speaking of that drive, as well as some of the others in the second half, Kalani kind of referred to it post-game. He felt like you guys might have got a little worn down in the game. Do you feel that was the reason why he gave up those yards and those longer drives in the second half?
I think fatigue was a factor, probably not the biggest factor. I think, honestly, there were a lot of times where we were in the perfect call to get out of the drives on those third downs, and we just didn't make plays. So I think, really what allowed them to kind of extend those drives was us not capitalizing on opportunities that we had. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Hey, Tanner, what can you tell us about Evan Johnson? What's he like off the field? What have you seen from his development? And obviously, you guys probably weren't surprised at what he did the other night, but that was right up there in the annals of BYU football history as impressive goes.
Absolutely. No, and for those of you who have maybe been, talking with me throughout this offseason, I think I've been mentioning Evan as a guy who I expected to have a great season for us. He's a great player. He handled the offseason the right way. He was coming off an injury, but just seeing how fast and explosive he is, in the way that, he takes pride in preparing for games in practice and watching film. I've known for a while that he was going to be an impact player for us, and now he's had some of those opportunities to make those plays in the games, and he's made them. He's going to continue to make them, but I was super thrilled for him and to see him, make plays in those big moments. And I'm excited to see what he'll do the rest of the season.
Do you know
Next
how?
question. Oh, sorry.
You know how he got that? Maybe some of the younger guys know this whole Shmev thing, but it's lost on me. How did he get that nickname?
I'm not sure where that originated from, but that's just what we call him. Yeah, Shmev. I don't know that I've ever called him Evan. So
Evan Schmevin.
yeah, Shmevin, Evan. It's just kind of where it came from, I guess.
Got it. Thanks.
All right, next question from Brandon Gurney.
Yeah, Tanner, what have you seen from Colorado offensively? What do they present, and what do you guys got to be prepared for come Saturday?
Obviously we played them in the bowl game last year. It's a great team with a lot of talent. I think offensively, their offensive philosophy, their scheme has changed just a little bit. In the bowl game, we saw a lot of 4 wide out and 5 wide out sets. So I think a little more traditional personnel packages, but yeah, another great team with good players. Curious to see, how we scheme up compared to the scheme that we put together for the Alamo Bowl. But just know that we're going to go out in a great environment and face another good team with talented players, and we're excited for that.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Tanner, last year you guys were like the underdog in that game against Colorado. Everyone was just talking about the Buffs going into that one, and you guys got that win. Is there any maybe a different mindset in this week where you guys are viewed as the favorite and they're the underdog?
Yeah, I don't think our team, like, we don't really pay attention to that stuff too much, honestly. Just focused on taking everything a game at a time and respecting our opponent every week, whether we're favored by however much or whether we're an underdog, whether it's at home or away. We know what we got to go in and do to come out with a win. So we're gonna prepare in that way and have that mindset and never get lackadaisical in our preparation just by assuming that we're the better team because we're favored. We don't really read into that too much.
I know that you're focused on this week, but just reflecting back on that Alamo Bowl, just how great of a moment was that for this program, just catapulting you into the offseason, giving the momentum for this season in 2025.
Yeah, that was a special way to end the season. Definitely winning in the fashion that we did. Obviously the narrative going into that game was very one-sided. Even during the game was continued to be very one-sided. But we were stoked to put a great game together. Played solid 60 minutes and had a lot of exciting plays. And that game was definitely in the eyes of a lot of people. So to have that sort of coverage and that exposure to our program and our success was a great way to end the year and really project us into the offseason, as you mentioned, kind of carry that momentum and excitement, just knowing and trusting how capable we are of winning games against great teams in big moments, and looking forward to more moments like that in this 2025 season.
A big thank you to Tanner Wall for taking the time to join the media today. Always a unique insight. I'm trying to say, he's just got a very interesting way of looking at the game of football, but it's very introspective in many respects. Because Tanner, I can tell you this much from my interactions with him, he expects a lot of himself. He expects a lot of his teammates. And this is a kid who lives, breathes, and bleeds BYU football, speaking of Tanner Wall. So really cool to catch up with him. Now, the guy who may have cost Tanner Wall that interception against East Carolina, as you heard him refer to, is Logan Lutui. Now, Logan took some time to also join the media to talk about what's kind of emboldened him in what is going to be his final season as a college football player, and in fact, exactly why he decided to come back when he easily could have walked away from the game. Well, he explained all of that and a whole lot more as he talked to the media earlier today.
And I asked Tanner if he was upset the call against you that negated his interception, but we had Kalani kind of explain that he thought you should have been allowed extra time or adequate time to get off the field. Can you take us through what happened there and why they ultimately called the penalty?
Yeah, I think like we know when the offense subs, we're able to sub as well, and usually we're expecting the ref to hold the ball. So something that we do is sometimes take our time going off the field, which kind of runs the play clock down for the offense, but the ref didn't hold it as long as he usually does, and I got caught, and that's on me, miscommunication error, and yeah, I got an earful of that.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, just in terms of your overall play, you're the vet in that defensive end room and really kind of leading the way for this unit. How have you felt about your play to this point in the season?
Yeah, I think I'm happy with how I've been playing, especially these past 3 games. I'm happy how our whole defensive line has been playing. We've been playing as a unit lately, and the people who've been coming in, who are getting their first couple snaps in college football, they haven't dropped off any from the players that we've had last year. So I think for me, I'm just impressed about not only just myself, but also the entire defensive line.
All right, next question from Sean Walker.
Yeah, a little bit on that note, Logan. You guys on the D line have done a really nice job, as has the entire defense, I guess. But the D line in particular has done a really nice job of just kind of holding the trenches down, minding the trenches really well. How excited are you to be able to get 340 pounds of beef back here, probably pretty soon, in a guy like Justin Kirkland? Because it sounds like he's been practicing a little bit more with you guys and could be ready. I'll say soon. We won't put a date on it, but probably pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Justin to get back with us. He's a great addition to our defensive line. He brings a lot of experience. He's a great player that we've played him twice now when he was at Oklahoma State, and since he's been here, he's been nothing but a great teammate. And we're, just waiting for him to get that green light to join us back on, and we know he's going to make an impact when he comes back.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Yeah, two questions, Logan. I notice you lead the team in tackles, which is pretty rare for a defensive end. Is that an anomaly, or is that kind of how this defense is set up to be schemed out?
Well, I think the biggest thing for our defense is when we stop the run, it's a really gap sound defense, and I guess the ball just seems to bounce my way. And I know that comes through everybody playing their 111. And so I give a lot of credit to our entire defense for doing their job. And when the ball comes my way, I'm excited and ready to make a play. So I just tip my hat to my teammates and for them doing their job to allow me to make plays.
And then, kind of on a personal level, what led to you deciding to come back? Was there ever a doubt? If I'm not mistaken, you went through the senior walk last year. So just kind of take me through the process of when you decided to come back, and then how the NCAA cleared you to come back.
Yeah, so I always knew I had an extra year from when I had tore my ACL back in 22, but I think something that helped me to make the decision coming back was not only with my wife and talking with my wife, but also with Coach Hill and Coach Kalani, and what they saw with what I can do this year with our team and what the view and the what we thought we were going to be able to accomplish this year. And I think that's what kind of had an influence in my decision of coming back and being able to be a part of something great. And I'm so glad that I did. And I'm glad that they were able to talk me into it. And yeah, I'm glad to be a part of this team.
Next question from Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Logan, can you just give us a scout of what you remember about playing Colorado, but also what you expect on Saturday?
Yeah, for Colorado, what we remember playing them is that they're a team that likes to spread the ball. They do want to get the run game going and get their pass game off of that. So I think our first and foremost, our goal is to stop the run. That's going to be the front seven. And I feel like we've done a great job up to this point, but coming into conference, we're going to have to step it up a whole nother level, and we're ready for that. And when the time comes is to get after the quarterback, and I think that's something we're going to have to emphasize going into this game with the opportunities that we're going to get with this offense.
There you have it. A big thank you to Logan Lutui. Before that, Tanner Wall. And to kick off the show, a big thank you to Carson Ryan as well for speaking with the media. A lot of good thoughts from three super seniors. All three of these guys are in their fifth or sixth year of college football, and you can tell they've got that perspective that comes with having played football at the collegiate level, and in some cases at BYU as long as they have. So appreciate all of their insight, and obviously looking forward to seeing BYU take on the Colorado Buffaloes tomorrow. New full edition of Locked On Cougars. We're going to talk about the game plan for the Buffs. I have got what I expect BYU to do. It may not be sexy, but I think it's darn effective if BYU can execute it. We'll talk about that tomorrow right here on your original daily podcast focused on all things BYU, the Locked On Cougars podcast. Until then, have a great rest of your day.